Right, this room is ready to start drop sheeting. I've gone and run a thicker tape along the edges there between the skirt and the carpet and pushed it down. It needs to be pushed down on that edge there so that you can get down below the carpet there a little bit. Then I've gone and put this paper tape on. That's setting it all up ready to drop sheet. Well, I drop sheet this with double backed or plastic backed drop sheet so we don't get anything going through to the carpets. I've been very careful with corners, and also I'm going to have to run a couple of sheets along that edge there on the inside so we can gloss that. And over here with the door, what I've done is run it round the door, taped it up so that when we gloss it, we've got paper down there to stop any paint drips from going through, and that whole entrance way, because when we start glossing this, we'll have drop sheets of course, but it just stops anything from going through. I've gone and taped up around door handles. You either tape up around them or you take them off. I've taken off all the surrounds from the switches. Any that don't have surrounds on, I've gone and taped around the edges. Taken off all the fittings apart from those, which I'm just about to do. So fittings go off because some of those holes the client wants puttied up, some they don't. So when we gloss these, you want to make sure the only holes left are the ones for the fittings that need to go back on. I'll be taking the surround off that and pulling that whole light bulb setting down. All of this in the middle here, the beds and that all been put in the middle, wardrobes. So I'll work around those, but what I'll do is I'll plastic sheet all these wardrobes, put a big plastic backed drop sheet over the bed. You don't want any room on the carpet anywhere or on furniture to actually drop stuff. Up here on the ceiling, which is the first area I'll move to do the paint job, so I'll be going around those skirts. So I'll be gapping up any gaps as I go. I've gone and taped up that grill up there too to stop any paint from getting on the edges. So that's pretty much what you do when you're prepping. The other thing you do is you go over all these walls with your hand and a bit of sandpaper just to make sure there's no grit or any rough spots that the previous paint has gone and left behind. I haven't not going to be undercoating this room because it's got a good sound base on it, but most instances if I was doing a old Queenslander with the old tongue and groove, I would be gapping up all those, sanding and maybe scraping some of the paint off depending on how good the finish is, and then I would be undercoating the whole lot just to make sure I've got a nice sound base. Now if you get any marks on these walls, it's not so much of an issue if I was undercoating all this because it normally blocks it all from coming through. But if there's any marks like pen, ink marks or spots or something like that, I always make sure that I brush some sealer undercoat over that so that it won't come through the paint job, because that's what happens with ink. Ink is bad for that. Anyway, that's that. Right, so this is all drop sheeted. Most of this is double back plastic, canvas and plastic, but I've doubled over some of the standard canvas ones just so that we get that extra protection. Covered up the drop sheet, the furniture, bed, and I've done this one here with plastic so I can get into the shelves here because I've got some of my stuff in there. Fixed up the bottom of that. She's all ready to start capping, sanding, and filling holes. So with gapping, you keep your finger wet, a little sponge, a little bucket of water, and you've got an angle on your no gap down. You start, keep your finger against it, take your time, slide it up. Run over that with your sponge. I'll leave this other one here. And that's a nice clean no gap. You can paint over that and look really nice. When you're cutting in, you should be able to cut in right to left and from left to right. Right to left, this is left to right. Just like that.